Today I'm going to talk to you about negative indices, or the fifth law, which I call the negative law. And I'm going to use the division law and the aspect of cancelling fractions to help me understand this law. So let's start by writing out, say, 3 squared over 3 cubed. Now I'm going to write it in expanded form. So let's write what 3 squared is. 3 squared is 3 times 3. And then on the denominator, we've got 3 cubed. So let's write that as 3 times 3 times 3. Now let's write the idea of cancelling. When we do the same number divided by the same number, it equals 1. So if we cancel that with that, 3 divided by 3 is 1. So we've got 1 times 1. And then as we can see, there's nothing further on the numerator, on the top, to cancel out with this 3 on the denominator. So if we're going to write this simplified, we're left with 1, because remember 1 times 1 is a whole number, 1 over 3, okay? Now let's look at the division law. Well, the division law says if you've got the same base, we can subtract the indices or the powers. So let's have a look at this. 2 take away 3 is negative 1. So we're actually left with 3 to the power negative 1, which actually equals 1 over 3. Let's have a look at a different number and see if we get a similar pattern. Let's look at, let's look at a pronumeral. Let's look at x to the power 3 divided by x to the power 5. Again, let's use expanded form. So we've got x times x times x, for x cubed, divided by x times x times x times x times x. Again, this idea of cancelling. Well, 1 times 1 times 1 is 1, which is a whole number. Whole numbers belong on the numerator. And then on the bottom, we're left with x times x, which of course is x squared simplified. This division law idea, let's do the subtraction because the x is the base, same. 3 take away 5 is x to the power negative 2. Okay, so x to the power negative 2 is equal to 1 over x squared, and 3 to the power negative 1 is equal to 1 over 3. In actual fact, a negative power, or a negative indice, means that that power actually belongs on the denominator as a positive power. So let's have a look at this with other numbers. Let's look at 4 to the power negative 3. Okay, the negative tells me it belongs on the denominator, so therefore it's 1 over. 1 over, and we're looking at just the positive power, 4 cubed. So 4 to the power negative 3 is equivalent to 1 over 4 cubed. We're often asked to write our answers with positive powers. This isn't a positive power, but being able to write it as a positive power means that it belongs on the denominator, and we would be expected to leave our answer like this. In general, our negative law says if you have a base with a negative index, negative power, then you write it as 1 over that base with the positive power. And that's the negative law of indices. So we're going to use this and do a few examples. And there are a few adaptations of this. For example, when the base is a fraction.